Jennifer Mendyke here with your daily 60 seconds of biblical inspiration for your day. Today I'm going to read from 1 Samuel chapter 17, and I'm going to read a couple of different verses, but I'm going to start with 45. And then David said to the Philistines, "Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied." In 47, he goes on to say, "And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth, not with the sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands." You know, a lot of us end up with giants in our lives. And it's easy to see the giant and how big that giant is, and how well armed that giant is, and how immovable that giant is. Saul and David's brothers and all the rest of the army, that's what they saw when they saw Goliath. They saw this huge, immovable giant. But David didn't see the giant. He saw his God. He saw the God that had helped him defeat a bear and a lion. And he had faith. He had faith that God wanted this giant to be defeated also. And all it would take is someone who was willing to let God use them. And so we see these giants in our lives. And we think, how am I going to deal with this? I can't beat that. I can't overcome that. That's not something I can do. But we need to stop and realize what we're doing. When we try to figure out how we are going to beat this giant, when we try to decide how we can overcome the giant, we're not following God's will. Yes, God wants that giant in our life defeated, but he doesn't expect us to do it on our own. He doesn't expect us to come up with the plan and to work it out and to figure it out and to deal with it. He expects us to listen to him and to do what he wants us to do. You know, David said, I will fight this giant. And then the army and Saul tried to turn around and give him armor and give him this and weapons. And had he listened to them, well, the only way you can defeat this giant is with XYZ. He could have listened to that, and he would have not beaten the giant because he wasn't following God's will. But David knew that God had a plan. And David knew that God's plan wasn't to show how mighty an army could be. It was to show how mighty God could be. And so he knew that all he had to do was use his simple slingshot, find a nice stone, and that God would do the rest. Because he trusted God. He trusted God to care for him. He trusted God to defeat this Philistine because he knew that God wanted Israel to win. He had faith in that. We need to stop seeing the giants in our lives and forgetting about God. If all we see is the giant, if that's all we have eyes for, we don't see God in our situation. And then we become overwhelmed by this giant. The giant's big enough on his own. We don't have to inflate him anymore. We should be able to see God despite the giant. We should be able to see God instead of the giant. We need to have the faith that God is with us even when there's a giant standing at the field roaring at us. And you know, this goes for me as much as anybody. We see these things in our lives, and And I do it too. I think, oh, how am I going to fix this problem? How am I going to deal with this thing? Because it's huge and it's scary and it's overwhelming. It's easy to look at God for small things and go, okay, God, I'm with you on this. But when it's something huge, we get tunnel vision and we're like, oh, it's this huge thing. What am I going to do? We need to train ourselves that our first reaction to everything, big and small, is, okay, God, how do you want me to handle this? Okay, God, what do you want me to do? Because when we turn to God before we size up this huge problem, we never see how huge the problem is. It doesn't become this giant thing because we see it through the eyes of God, and nothing is giant to God. God doesn't see anything and go, whoa, that's big. He just looks at it and goes, yep, we're going to deal with it. So don't look at things through your eyes. When something pops up in front of you, immediately turn to God. See it through his eyes. Lord, what do you want me to do today? Lord, what do you want me to do to care for this? How do you want me to deal with this? I'm looking through your eyes, Lord. And the problem doesn't seem that big and scary through your eyes, Lord. Don't let your giant eclipse your God. Make your God bigger than your giant. Have a wonderful day. God bless. Goodbye.